so we're live, everyone.
So unfortunately, I'm getting this. We are live now. We are live now. That's for sure. And I think that's kind of weird also as well, that all of a sudden I was not only listening to myself in the headsets, but I was also listening to myself on the computer as well, which was really strange. But welcome, everybody. We had some technical glitches today, which is the first time in 105 shows that we've had some technical glitches that I could remember, which is really outrageous. But it's pretty cool. What can I say? So welcome to the 105th meeting of the SoundBroker Mastermind, the Mastermind RoundTable presented by SoundBroker. That's the correct name these days. And I am your host, Jan Landy. So welcome, everybody. How do you like that? I hope everybody had a good week. Before we get started, I just want to say this, that everything you hear today is opinion. So just do your own research. And with that, hey, welcome everybody to the room, and thank you for joining us. We've got a lot of things to cover today. So much going on in the world, so much good stuff. But before we get into that, let's say, does anybody have anything that they want to share?
Hepatitis.
Well, if you're a child, you have to worry about that now. But other than that, you're in good shape.
You Vegas people, I tell you.
Yeah. No, it's kind of crazy what's going on in the world right now these days. But before we get into anything, we have our normal guru of information. Mike Brown is in the room, and he just finished his trade show, Cavlo, and I was hoping he would give us a little report on what happened at Cavlo. What did we miss?
Some people showed up. They talked about gear. They went home. Actually, it was a great show. Super excited for our first show in Nashville. It really went very, very well. I made a couple of new mistakes, so that's a good sign. I didn't repeat any of the mistakes I'd made previously. I think that shows some level of growth on my part. And we had a good turnout. We had a good higher ed turnout, lots of integrators, few production people, and a few house of worship people. So we'll work on those smaller demographics for next year and get them bumped up. We ended up with 45 manufacturers present. As a matter of fact, the week of, the 2 days before the show itself on that Monday, I almost got to 50. Very short notice. It was a well-attended show. People were looking forward to it. People were excited. Nashville was lovely. Great place to have a show. They're very trade show starved there. Apparently there are no shows there. Or even the traveling ones and the ones that distributors put on, that sort of thing, don't come there. So it went well. I was very, very pleased with it.
Well, that's very good. In regards to making mistakes, I think that the expression goes, I've never been wrong. I thought I was once, but I was mistaken. That's something you might remember. But the reality is we're not judged by, how many times we fail or do something wrong, but how many times we make a mistake and we continue to rectify it and keep going. And I guess that's what a champion does. And so congratulations on being a champion.
Yes, sir.
Good. And the attendance was good.
We'll wrap up the show on that high note. Mike Brown is a champion. You heard it here.
There you go. That's right. Well, I heard it somewhere else before, but I just was repeating it. But speaking of being champions, basically the reality is that, things are really getting good. We now, as of this very moment, we have 307 subscribers to the YouTube channel, which is really good because it was only 305 yesterday. So we got 2 new subscribers. So people are subscribing. And I found out something very interesting about YouTube, which I did not know. When you watch these YouTube shows that people do on a regular basis, they say, give us the thumbs up and subscribe. You don't know how much that'll help us. And in reality, that really does help you, because what it helps you is when somebody gives you a thumbs up, basically YouTube takes their profile, judges it against your profile, and sees what they like about it, and then sends it out to the other people that would be liking what you have done. And that's how it spreads. And of course, subscribing to the channel gives you the opportunity to know when you go live or when there's a new video. But that's how the thumbs up work, in case you didn't know it. So it really helps your demographics, and it helps you spread your word a lot quicker when people give you a thumbs up. So that was something interesting. Facebook, we had 45 views of last week's roundtable. 45 people viewed it, and LinkedIn, we had 65 impressions, which is pretty interesting considering when we started it was 0. Yeah.
That's infallible logic. Infallible logic. And I just went onto YouTube so that I could sign in and subscribe to the channel and give you a thumbs up. And I noticed something new when I searched for SoundBroker.
What was it, Mike?
Hey, Jan, we can't hear you.
Yeah, he's muted. Maybe he's on the phone. Oh, I forgot
Maybe
why.
I'm not muted. I'm having some technical issues today. It just seems that it's really some technical.
Yeah, you definitely are, because you just cut out mid-sentence.
Yeah, this is not cool, what's happening. So let me do this. Let me do
Overmodulating.
I'm really having some technical difficulties here today, and I don't know why.
It's your
but,
internet.
I don't think it's
Blame
the
it
internet.
on the internet.
I think it's. I don't think it's the internet. Where my technical difficulties are coming from, but I think it's some more or less the new
user?
operating system on the Mac, which is just I don't understand. That didn't happen last week, but you can hear me now, fine now, right? Right?
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
loud. Very loud.
All right.
You're very loud.
Well, then we can bring it down a little bit.
That's not nice, guys. If you're gonna be, throw some criticism at someone, you should do it in a constructive manner.
I think you're 100% correct. I think you should do it in a constructive.
Now you're
manner.
too low.
Now I'm too low. Oh, good God! This is.
And I don't mean you're short. I just mean you're.
Yes, I understand. Now it should be perfect. I hope it's perfect now.
It's better.
Yeah. Is it? Could it go up a little bit?
No, if anything, you'd go down a hair.
Okay, there you go. How about that? Is that all right now?
Sure, that's perfect.
All right, very, very good. I don't have an LU meter on this, so basically I can't tell what's going on. Let me see. Where else are
Program do
we?
you run on your Mac?
Holy cow! It's Ken Newman.
Yes, I knew Ken Moon was coming in the room today, so we got a lot.
Motorcycle.
Look at that hair. That is
Yes.
magnificent.
I've been running trying to make it here in time, but I missed it. Sorry.
Now you didn't miss anything. We had technical difficulties, so you're right in the right
didn't
on
have
the
the helmet
perfect
on.
time.
Wow.
Down the road, full barrel. Look at that. That marvelous mane.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kenny,
I think-
I read that Barry Manilow had added some more shows here in Vegas.
Well, he's trying to break the Elvis record of how many shows Elvis did at that place or something. So he's going to keep going and going forever. We call him the Energizer Bunny,
And then the day after he breaks the record, he's done.
Probably not.
Well,
What
it's
is the
probably
record?
breaking enough TVs like the Elvis did and shooting them up in the Hilton. So
the big difference is that I think Elvis sold out all those shows. I'm not sure that Barry Manilow is selling out all those shows. What's that way?
Yeah.
The Energizer Bunny, yeah, Duracell.
Anyway, I think so. I think hopefully all the technical bugs are gone right now, and now we can get back to what's going on. And by the way, I guess if there was going to be technical bugs, this is the perfect month for it to happen, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and as well as the World Economic Forum Month. So. And along those lines of a story that's broken, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but some Mega Millions players, they claimed their prizes after the host called out the wrong number. Did you hear that? So they
Are they suing
you
somebody?
imagine?
Yeah, there's some lawsuit in.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lawsuit involved in everything.
That's
But I mean,
what I
could you
read.
just imagine? Just imagine. You know, there was a really funny. What was that show with the sheriff? The sheriff in Reno County, Reno 911. There is a really funny show, an episode of that, and if you haven't seen it, I'll find the link and I'll put it in the show notes. But basically, what it is there was a misprint in the newspaper of the lotto, so everybody thought that they'd won the lotto, and they went in and they were telling each other what they could do with themselves and how much they hated each other, and then they find out that there was a misprint in the newspaper of the lotto number, and that really happened right now in real life. So, you know an interesting thing, I read about this a long time ago, that most people when they are surveyed, that they think that the only way that they are going to get out of their financial dilemma is if they win the lottery. Have you heard that?
That's the going news. You know, that's what everybody says. But you know what? I think that's a phrase that can be used to describe many things. In other words, maybe they could sell their house for a lot more than they thought. Maybe they could get a dream job that pays twice as much as they thought they were going to get. Who knows? But winning the lottery is the phrase we use to say how we're going to get out of financial debt. Yeah,
Unexpected windfall.
Exactly.
Or they could move to Thailand, like maybe somebody doing.
Right.
And then
Well,
then complain about it and need a vacation to Singapore because life in Thailand is so hard.
Yeah, life in Thailand is not that hard, believe me. But that's for the other show that we're creating, and I might as well announce it right now. I'm creating a new show called Ask the SoundBroker, and so basically the idea is that I've been doing this now. I've been in the entertainment business for about 60 years, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a lot of information that I would like to share with people. So if you have any questions about business or the industry itself, or something about anything that you think that I might have an answer for, well, then we're going to do a show called Ask the SoundBroker. And as we start getting more developed into that, I'll let you guys know about it. But it's just getting formatted right now as Ask the SoundBroker. So I'd love your support on that as well. Anyway, going back.
Wait.
Yeah.
It's an entire show now.
Yes, it's going to be a spin-off. You know, it's a spin-off of the roundtable.
You start a spin-off is you start it with a segment of the existing show, and if it's really popular, then you spin it off. Far be it from me to speak on behalf of all Americans, but you may be overestimating how many people are interested in your opinion. Like a question per show, very likely. 2 or 3 questions per show, possible. An entire show's worth of questions, I don't know.
Well, there you have it. The show doesn't have to be very long. It might be just only one question. But we're getting so many questions on the Facebook page that Tina and I were talking about that, and we are getting a lot of questions. Of course, I don't have the answers for any of those questions on the Facebook page, but it'll give me some time to do some research.
Don't know either.
And I'll make up some of the questions, you know. Who's gonna know? Who's gonna know if Joe Domenico from Port Smith, Washington, or even if there is a Port Smith, Washington, who's gonna know? Nobody. You know, nobody's gonna know. It's like pronouncing my name. You know, whatever you want to pronounce, it's okay with me. You know.
I dare you to say you got a question from Walter Riley in Ottumwa, Iowa.
Yeah. Well, I might just have a question from Walter. But you see, it's an opportunity of a lifetime to figure it all out. I even made a logo already, so that's cool. It's up on, I posted that coming soon, so it's cool. It's cool. But anyway, let's go on to what I was talking about so that we can come back to this. So regarding the lottery and people winning it, so the organization Robinhood, which is basically for the day traders and those people who are doing cryptocurrencies prices and those trading, you could buy a fraction of a share. Robinhood did that. They did a survey of all the recent college graduate. 45% of them said that they would be very confident in career prospects, 33% fairly confident, 18% not confident, 4% they would say terrible prospects of what they're going to do. And I believe right now that people are saying, well, I don't even need a college education anymore, because what is a college education going to do for me if I don't want to do something that doesn't have the necessary knowledge base that I need a college education? And that's possible as well, but not the NBA star Steph Curry. He just graduated from college, and I am sure that tonight at 6 o'clock when they play the Mavericks, he's not going to be thinking about his college graduation. He's going to be thinking, man, I am playing in another playoff game for winning another trophy in my trophy case and a ring. So is anybody following the series right now?
Well, tonight's the first game.
Well, yeah, but the Miami Heat played Boston Celtics, and they won 118 to 107.
But it was a good game. Boston came back. They almost won. That was number one. That was the first game. So, that's the series hasn't really began. Really. There's
Well,
only
there you
one
go.
game.
I'm following the hockey.
And how's that going for you?
It was really good. The Lightning spanked the Panthers last night. So, yeah, we're pretty happy here.
Well, very, very good. Well, that's wonderful.
That's good.
This is also Black Hole, Black Hole Week. It's Happy Black Hole Week. In case you haven't heard that, basically, a lot of things are going on in the space program right now. NASA just released the sound of what they believe that a black hole would sound like for human ears. And we've got the link on that. So if you want to listen to what NASA believes that the sound of a black hole makes for human ears, we got that link for you. Also, astronomers announced on Thursday that they had pierced the veil of darkness and the dusk center of our Milky Way, and they were able to capture their first real picture of a black hole. Has anybody seen that picture? It's like fascinating. I guess nobody has.
No.
Well, we're going to post that link too. Okay, what about this one? That the House panel, the U.S. Congress, had a meeting open to the public about UFOs. Did you guys hear any of that?
No. When did this happen?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday, and I watched it live. Yeah, it was interesting and also comical at the same time.
Yeah, so they have these footages from actual military aircraft and vessels of objects in the sky, going super fast, stopping instantaneously, spinning around, going up, going down, and that was what they discussed. What did you get from it? Do you think there are extraterrestrials? Kurt?
Could be. Yeah.
I mean, Greg?
No, it could be. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't. I mean, we, as the human being, the human species is arrogant. The funny thing about that, if you were watching live, was 70-plus-year-old legislators trying to ask scientific questions, and then the look on their faces when they got the answers, it was great.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's available for replay anywhere.
I'm sure it is. Everything, C-SPAN, and also you could look it up on YouTube. Everything ends up on YouTube sooner or later. it's amazing how much video is up on YouTube and how fast the video is getting presented up on YouTube. I mean, millions and millions of videos a day, I believe, is what they're up to. So it's pretty crazy, you know. But speaking of black holes and crazy stuff, Twitter and Elon Musk. It looks like Elon Musk has put the kibosh on his $44 billion deal to take Twitter private. And, you know, I never thought that was going to happen. I just thought it was one of those things that he just came up with a brainstorm in his head that he thought would be a great thing. But the reality is now he's going to be sued like crazy. And he has to sell stock.
So you're saying it's not happening for sure?
For sure, right now it's on hold.
It's on hold. How interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, well, that's why you tune in here. So you can hear things that
the latest from Jan, right from the horse's mouth.
Well, you know, one of the things I do is I follow the news every week for you guys so that you don't have to. You know, and one of the things that I find is that if you watch the news, cable news, or you read the newspapers, most of the stories are all really super negative. You know, the war in Ukraine, inflation, COVID, you know, and the news seems to take a negative twist to it. What I'm trying to do is find the positive stories or the somewhat negative stories and make it a positive twist. And that is, you know, and that's where the Mental Health Week comes in, where we're trying to, you know, stimulate your thought process in a positive manner. That's why I say the hook of the show is it's more rewarding than therapy, you know? We get to talk about it with like-minded people.
That's what what's his name said.
Sean
said that. Yeah, Sean said that.
Yeah, and I've never forgotten it, and we incorporated that in the description of the show. If you look at the invitation, you know. And so another thing that's really good is the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has approved a new test for Alzheimer's disease, and this test is the first in the vitro diagnostic tool for Alzheimer's to be approved in the United States, measuring amyloid protein levels in the spinal fluid. So that means basically there's a possibility that you can get if you get it diagnosed early enough, that there could be a cure. And you could prevent yourself from getting deeper into the hole with Alzheimer's, you know? So that's a good thing.
Do you think that's a reality in our lifetime, Jan? Like, for example, is this something you or I could get a test now and then fall through if we tested that, yes, you're going to have Alzheimer's, then we could get some kind of treatment? You think that's a now thing, or you think that's a 10, 20 years from now kind of thing?
And you see, Mike, you were worried about Ask the Soundbroker. Here we go. We've got Ask the Soundbroker right now. A question about that I have no idea about the answer, but I'm going to wing it anyway. So here you go. Yeah, I believe that it is going to be in our lifetime. I believe it absolutely is going to be in our lifetime. You're going to
sign up for that test then? You're going to sign up for that test?
I don't really think I have a problem with Alzheimer's. You know, my memory is pretty good. Every once in a while, though, I will forget a word that, you know, but it's not a common word. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's good. I'll remember that's good. But when I start to think about, you know, words that are not used on a regular basis that I want to describe something, sometimes I find that to be difficult. And also when I'm thinking about concepts or things that I remember, like, for example, Reno 911. I couldn't remember the name of the title right away, but it did come to me. So I'm not really worried about
names are not slower to come to you than they used to be?
I've never been good with names or faces, for that matter. You know, it's like one of those things. And especially when you have a little more... you see, and that's where the word comes in, you know, where I'm more known than not known. And because SoundBroker is, you know, such a big entity in the industry, a lot of people go to my website. I mean, 25,000 plus a day. And so they think that they know me. And when I go out to a trade show or something like that, they'll come up to me and they'll say hello and whatever. Oh, yeah, I remember you. You remember me from 15 years ago. And I don't remember them at all from 15 years ago.
Yeah, I don't mean that. I just mean that I know personally that I have noticed a lack of ability to remember even celebrities' names. I'll go, oh, who's that singer again? You know, and somebody that 10 years ago I would remember perfectly, but now it's like I'm reaching for those names. That's all I'm saying.
Well, let's put it up to the room. Does anybody else have that problem?
Define celebrity.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody that
I know what
everybody
you're
has
saying.
heard of. Somebody that everybody has heard of. That is a famous person.
Yeah, or maybe like,
If I said Olivia Rodrigo,
Huh?
you know who that is?
I do know who that is. She has that song "Happier," which for some reason I don't know why I really like it, but I really happen to
And
like
Newman,
that song
if
a
you had a
lot.
teenage daughter, I assure you would know who Olivia Rodrigo is.
Okay.
And especially if you had a teenage daughter who knew you were in show business, working a show in Vegas, and wanted tickets to the Olivia Rodrigo concert at the Chelsea tomorrow night, you would absolutely know who Olivia Rodrigo is in spades.
Well,
I'm curious to know how many seats is in the Chelsea.
I don't know.
Aha, see, so maybe you should get that Alzheimer's test. That's,
Maybe that's a question for Ask the Soundbroker.
yeah, well, all right. So
but in fact, Ask the Soundbroker, by the way, in my defense, as to my assessment of the viability of the concept, I assumed you would be fielding questions about, I don't know, audio gear, selling of audio gear, not, like, hey, how many stars are there in the Milky Way? Like, clearly, I wouldn't expect you to know the answer to that. But if we can ask questions that we don't expect you to know the answer to, heck, you could have a 3-hour show.
Hey, you know, that's right. I can. It's okay. But I do know the answer of how many stars are in the Milky Way. And I'm going to quote Carl Sagan when I say billions and billions. But I tell you something I do know. I do know this, that Barbie unveiled a new doll with hearing aids for you guys like you. Barbie is releasing a new collection of dolls that aims to represent more children, including first Barbie behind the ear hearing aids. There's also a Barbie with a prosthetic leg and a Ken doll with vitiligo. Now, does anybody know what vitiligo is? I see, now this is where your memory goes. I actually looked it up and I can't remember what it is, but it's a skin pigment thing. Could you believe it? And they're going to be selling in Target and Walmart's for $9.99 starting this June. So there you go.
Isn't that the skin thing that Michael Jackson claimed to have? Vitiligo
yes,
or something like that. Yeah.
It's vitiligo.
Yeah, vitiligo. There you go. So ask the soundbroker on how to pronounce the words correctly. That's you're not going to get the answer for. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool that that there's going to be a Barbie with a hearing aid.
I think it's cooler that there's going to be a test for Alzheimer's and you can anticipate that you're going to get it.
Yeah. I just wonder if, there's a, Barbie with, breast implants. I guess, as she gets older, if she needs a hearing
aid. They call her reality Barbie? They call her like real world Barbie instead of fake world Barbie.
That's so funny, and, you got to be careful. Vitiligo or vitilo. How do you pronounce it, Tina?
Vitiligo.
Yeah, the first thing when I read it really fast, and I thought Ken with Viagra. I said, "Whoa, that can't be for kids," and then I realized I read it wrong.
You just crack yourself up, John Jan. Oh yeah,
I love it. So let's talk about something else. Like let's talk about this guy that landed the plane in Florida. Hey, could you believe that?
That is the story of the month. That is incredible. That is amazing. I want to know so much more about that. I want to know everything about it. I want to know what happened every second from the time they realized that the pilot was incapacitated.
It's not that big a deal. Gravity did most of the work.
What? Are you kidding me? Hold on a second. Did you see the interview, Mike?
Taking off, that would be impressive.
Wait. Did you see the interview, Mike? The interview with him on the Today Show. Here's what he said. Something along the lines of, when I got up to the front of the plane, all I saw was the ocean out the right window, and it was coming fast. Take that as a starting point and try to run with that if you don't know how to fly a plane. I wouldn't have the foggiest idea what to do. But he had the calm, cool, and collected approach to gradually pull back on the whatever it's called, right? Gradually pull.
What kind of plane was it?
Cessna single engine is all they say. So
Cessna 208.
Okay, so I don't know what that is, but all I know is
4-seater.
okay. All I know is he had the presence of mind to gradually pull back so that he would gradually level it off and turn it to the left so that it wasn't going into the ocean. You know, all these things he did gradually and carefully and methodically. He tested, he kind of like learned how to fly the plane while it was flying kind of thing. It's just incredible if you ask me. I'm sorry if you think to the contrary, but I just think that guy was a really superstar for being so calm, cool, and collected. That's all.
I assure you, Ken, you could have done it in your sleep.
Yeah. I assure you, there's no way I would have done that. I would have been in the water.
Ride a motorcycle. I assure you, you can fly a plane.
The thing is, think about the pressure. Okay, put yourself in that situation. You're flying back from the Bahamas where you did some fishing. You're just out for a leisurely flight with your friend and the pilot, and that's the only people in the plane. And all of a sudden you realize, hey, the pilot isn't responding. Hey, pilot, nothing. He's not responding at all. And then you go, wow, look at that. We are nosediving. We are on a dive right into the ocean. And then take it from there and to land it. Fantastic. I mean, yeah, he had a lot of good direction and he had a lot of help. So I don't discount that. But the point is, that guy was really calm, cool, and collected. And I would like to know way more about it. Like, what was his friend doing while he was jumping up to into the cockpit and trying to take over the plane? We're in a single engine Cessna. Are there really 2 seats, a pilot and co-pilot? I have all these questions about what they did. He said something in the interview about moving the pilot towards the back of the plane, and then they just laid him there. And so how do you move somebody? I mean, that's not easy to move 150 pounds of dead weight from the pilot's chair while you're flying, by the way, to behind the pilot's seat.
It's been a long time since you dated some girl from college, because moving 150 pounds of dead weight is not that big a deal.
Oh my gosh, really? I don't know.
We're going to make believe we didn't hear that comment. That's for sure.
What are you trying to say? Trying to say that that I would have moved a girl that was drunk, she passed out?
Passenger seat. You got to carry her inside. You can't leave her in the car all night.
All I could say is you should be glad you're not famous. Otherwise, there'd be lawsuits right now. You and Johnny Depp would be on the same docket.
Anyway, I just thought
not that I know anything about that.
Pretty cool.
I will
cool
say I
of
was
the guy.
mistaken. A Cessna 208 is not a 4-seater. It's about a 14-seater.
That's what the pictures showed. The pictures showed a plane with about 5 or 6 windows on each side.
But I assure you, you can fly it, Ken Newman.
The thing is, by the way, the easiest thing to do is take off a plane because it's just a matter of speed. When a plane gets up to 80 miles an hour, it'll start lifting up. It's just aerodynamics of the wind going underneath.
He's shaking his head, Jan. He's shaking his head. That's not true.
Well, it is absolutely true.
Theoretically, getting it up in the air 2 or 3 feet, yes, aerodynamics do that. Getting it to continue to climb and not immediately plummet back to Earth, that is not easy.
Okay, well
I've been practicing with all these simulators. I am pretty sure that I could do it.
Never mind. Ask the sound.
Plus, I've already flown. It's really, I've actually taken flying lessons, and really, that's the easiest part of flying is taking the plane off.
Should not have called the air traffic control tower. He should have called Jan.
Well, actually, I'm glad he did. But you know what? This guy now has a new career. He's going to be traveling the country, giving talks about his experience, and people are just loving to hear. Plus, I hear that he also
is that really happening? Because I'll buy a ticket to hear that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if I was an agent, if I was with CIA,
something tells me that guy is so mellow and cool, calm and cool. He's only interested in staying home with his wife and having their baby. She's about to give birth anytime now, and he does flooring or something. He's some handyman type, construction.
Are you joking, man? He could be making $50,000 a meeting right now. He could be,
just like telling about his experience, right?
Just talking about his experience.
About to give birth, she's going to tell him, "Look, honey, you're going to go talk to the Kiwanis Club and the Rotary Club, and if it goes well, then we're getting an agent and you're hitting the tour." Because Sully doesn't do too many speaking engagements anymore. He's kind of half.
This guy's the new Sully. You're right. You're right.
He has.
That's right.
He has his new government thing, his new government appointment. So this
Yes.
Sully has been appointed to government. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, President Biden appointed him to. I'll look it up. Or Tina's already looking it up, I'm sure.
But I also heard that he's already been offered a scholarship now to the Sullenberg School of Flying. So
That's
he's
nice.
going to,
Yeah, that's nice.
you know. But I just made that
I
up.
just
by
was
the way.
really,
So do your
really
own research.
very much impressed with his calm, cool, and collectiveness. What that called? There's a word for that. I'm sure with his, his composure. His composure was off the charts. And then he said
Yeah, absolutely.
when he landed and stopped the plane, that's when he broke down. He said, but during the whole experience, he was totally calm, cool, and collected. I would love to hear more about that interview.
Well, I'm
Not
sure
unusual.
you will.
Adrenaline dump is what he experienced. He didn't even realize it, but he was all wound up on adrenaline. And as soon as there was no need for the adrenaline, he probably, I don't know about probably, but it would not surprise me if he got physically ill.
Well, I crashed, basically, physically crashed, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, anyway,
Sounds like
very,
an
very impressive.
ex-monitor engineer to me. I'm sorry. I mean,
Right.
It makes you
Well, yeah.
wonder, and if you pass out, is there going to be a brave soul who's going to step in and guide that show to the finale?
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
They will just pull the faders down to nothing and go, sorry, the show's over.
Oh, you don't have it that automated where it runs by itself? Unbelievable.
No.
You just don't tell people about it?
There's no autopilot on that thing.
I got your back. If I'm there, Ken,
That's it.
don't worry about it. I got your back.
Okay, if you're there, okay, cool.
Yep, not a problem. I'll call.
Well, speaking about flying, I hear that this Memorial Day is going to be off the hook busy. It's going to be crazy busy. I don't know if anybody's planning on flying, but airlines' performance dipped in quality. Basically, more baggage was mishandled and more passengers with booked tickets were bumped from their flights this year than ever before. And that's crazy. But this week or Memorial Day, there's going to be more flying than ever before, or it's going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. So is anybody planning on flying anywhere for Memorial Day?
What's the date of Memorial Day? Like the 20-something of May?
I thought it was the
30th.
last,
The
the
last
30th. I
Monday,
always thought it was the
30th.
last. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
I thought-
flew this past weekend, Jen, and I flew out to La La Land and then back to Florida in 72-hour turnaround, and actually it was pretty good. But yeah, then again, too, I was coming back on the red eye, so I slept through most of it.
Mike Brown, you flew too. What was it like?
The flights themselves were fine. I had no problem with any of them. The challenge is Nashville does not have a great flight selection, in my opinion. And I get it. I'm a little spoiled because I live in Vegas, and I can go to Harry Reid Airport right now, and I don't care where I'm going. There's a flight going there sometime in the next 2 or 3 hours, 4 at the most. But that was the challenge with Nashville, was getting there easily. Very few non-stops, and I took my top tech with me, and we flew separately, just in case one of us was delayed, significantly delayed or something like that. The other one would at least be on time and could get things going, because we landed Monday, load-in was Tuesday, show was Wednesday. So we couldn't afford for both of us to not show up, say, till late Monday night or early Tuesday morning. That would have been a disaster. So I gave him the nonstops. I took the connectors. But it was fine. The flights themselves were fine. Leaving Nashville, we were about a half hour late, but that was because the inbound flight was about a half hour late, and we made it up in the air. So
What were the prices like?
astronomical.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Last October, you may recall, I flew to Nashville to do a little scouting. Then I flew to Orlando from Nashville to go to Infocom. And then I flew back to Vegas. It was a 3-way trip. I don't recall exactly, but it was somewhere around $410 all in for that trip. Taxes, fees, everything. This one both round trips were close to 1,000, just
Wow.
Nashville and back. And
Now, what about rent a car? Did you have to rent a car?
Yeah, and that's about the same. It's I usually spend more on the insurance than I spend on the car because I always rent weekly and then just turn it in early if it's not a full week. So I rented a minivan, and minivans are unpopular too, so they tend to be a really good deal. So I rented a minivan. I think it was like $450 for the week. Just I thought, pretty reasonable. It's about right. But the airfare was surprising. That one definitely went over budget.
Let me see if we just got a new tip here. Number one, rent by the week and bring it in early. You save money. And two, rent a minivan. Is that correct? Those are the good tips?
Yep. The generally speaking, the only car that'll be cheaper than the minivan is the egg car. The little, 2 or 4 door hatchback that's got like a 3-cylinder engine. That's usually the only, and they don't have very many of those right now because they're all worn out. Even your compact sedan, your Nissan Maxima, Toyota Camry sized sedan is generally going to be more than the minivan. And the minivan's way more comfortable.
So tell me more about the rent by the week and return it in early. What happened? Is that a bargain or is that just a thing you do?
I reserve it for the whole week. And when I return it, instead of the daily rate, they prorate it. They divide it by 7 times the number of days I had it. And the 1/7 of the weekly rate is usually lower than the daily rate.
I see. Interesting.
Interesting.
That's definitely a tip then.
So maybe
there you go. We've got a tip.
Ask the Mike Brown column, not ask the sound.
Ask Cavlo?
Ask Cavlo.
Unbelievable. My own show is
Scavolo.
taken from me. All right, by another.
Ask Cap.
Anyway, so what about gasoline when you rent the cars? What do you do? Do you take out a policy where you bring the car back empty, or do you fill up the tank?
Fill up the tank. It's you. Sometimes
He's
you don't
nodding.
use
He's
the
nodding
gas,
like as if you bring it
so
back
it's
empty.
better to just fill the tank because you
No,
don't
I
overuse
fill the tank
Yeah.
because I rarely use that much gas. I'm usually airport to the site. Couple of trips, maybe go grab dinner one night. For our exhibitors, if they're returning the stuff from their booth via UPS or FedEx, we provide the service where we will drop it off for them, so they don't have to, call an Uber or whatever to go find the FedEx drop-off point or, UPS store or whatever. We take care of that for them. So like even in Nashville, the show was in Franklin, which is a good 20-minute drive from the airport with no traffic. With traffic, it could be 40, 45 minutes. Even with that and running around on my way back to the airport, we barely used a quarter tank.
So when do you make a decision whether it's better to use Uber, Lyft, or rent a car?
I am not a rideshare fan in the first place. I am much more likely to use a taxi. I can't tell you how many times I've flown home from somewhere. As I'm leaving the airport, I'll see the taxi line, right? And the taxi line has maybe, even for a busy convention week, maybe there's 60, 70 people in the taxi line, but they queue up 30 taxis at a time. So about every 2 minutes or so, 3 minutes maybe, 30 taxis leave and they're replaced by 30 empty taxis. Then you cross the bridge and you go by where the rideshare people are picked up, and there'll be 400, 500 people there all milling around trying to find the black Toyota Corolla that they need to look for, because it's not organized in any way. There's no attendant like saying, okay, Susie, I'm looking for Susie. None of that. It's a disaster. So I will use rideshare. Like I had an appointment in LA about a month ago. April 15th on tax day. And I flew into Burbank and I used rideshare to get all the way into LA because that's going to be cheaper than a taxi. So I guess that answers your question. That's how I do it.
So your basic premise for avoiding rideshare is that it's usually more tedious than than getting a taxi. Is that it?
Yeah, more tedious, and I find taxi drivers, since that's all they do day in and day out, they tend to know the town a little bit better where I'm at. So if I say I'm in a hurry, they probably know a couple shortcuts and, maybe duck through an alley here or there, and next thing,
What about paying for a taxi? I haven't taken a taxi in so many years. One of the things that I find very convenient about the Uber or Lyft is that I can just pay for it on my phone, and my card information is stored and so forth. Is there the same thing for taxis these days, or what do you do?
No, you're still sticking. There's still a little, credit card processing gizmo in the back of the front seat, and you're, tapping it or chipping it or swiping it, whatever your card allows.
Actually, I read something, and I believe that it's in Las Vegas where the taxis are now, or maybe New York, that they're now in cahoots with Lyft and Uber, and you can use a taxi by using the Lyft or Uber app and get a taxi, I believe.
In other words, taxi drivers have become Uber drivers, sort of, huh?
It seems that way to me. And by the way, the other thing that Mike doesn't like to do, he doesn't with the ride sharing, he hates to be in competition with Susie because, Susie will take the better car. She'll get the Corolla and he'll get the egg car. That's so he doesn't do that.
Mike, is it possible that some of your aversion to ride share is that your entire youth you were told not to ever get into a car with a stranger?
Actually, I know his parents, and they encouraged him to get in the car with the strangers. That's it.
Or you're not.
By the way, did you hear there was this woman here? Listen to this. It was a 76-year-old woman here in Thailand that stayed at a hotel. She left the hotel, walked. I guess she had Alzheimer's. She walked out of the hotel, and she was missing for 7 days. But they actually found her alive in the mountains. Somehow she had walked into the mountains and got lost, and for 7 days she was, living in the mountains. And she came back fine, healthy, unbelievable. But having said that, and going back to the ride sharing, I was speaking to my cousin who lives up in San Francisco, and he tells me that he just paid $6.35 for gasoline. And what is it like right now in your areas? I mean, I hear that gasoline has hit record prices, and it's not going to probably go down.
He got it that cheaply, huh? $6.35. That's pretty cheap, right?
I don't think so. When I left the United States, I paid $2.75 for gas.
I just had to fuel.
How long have you been there, Jan? 275?
Since July.
At least.
Yeah, July of what year?
Yeah.
July of last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's I don't know. It's $4.95 here in Florida.
So it's a dollar more in LA. I mean, wait, I don't know if are you talking about regular or medium or high tests?
Just regular. I mean, high
test.
test. Yeah, you're paying over $5. You're paying.
So I have to get the medium grade for my cars, and so it's high fives is what it is, $5.90 or so. $5.90, and that's if I get the discount with my 76 card and stuff. So it can be easily $6.20, $6.30.
Yeah, the average. I just read the article about the inflation it rose in April, but it's slowing down. And last month's CPI was 8.3%, up 8.3%, staying near a 40-year high. But it was the first time in 8 months that inflation cooled down over month to month. So the core inflation includes it's excluding fuel and food prices increased by 0.6% from March, but it is going down. And from what I understand, ask the SoundBroker, from what I understand, basically things are going to be like this till October. And then in October, everything's going to start to come back to normal. So by the time we get into October, you're going to see all prices go down. There's going to be plenty of things that we're missing right now available again. So life is going to go back to what it used to be like and a normalcy. But right now it's kind of crazy.
What's going to happen in October that's going to cause
You
that?
guarantee that?
Well, I'd like to guarantee that right now, but I will say this one last thing like when I say normalcy. Right now, the number one company, the number one wealthiest company in the world, is Saudi Aramco, which surpassed Apple for the first time in a long time, and that's because of the price of gasoline. So it went up now. What is it? 2.37 trillion. Where Apple's trading on Wednesday now. I mean, it's 2.
It's funny
It's
how
crazy.
It's funny how an oil company can become the wealthiest company in the world by manipulating the price of the product they sell.
Yeah, because everybody needs it. I mean, you don't need an Apple computer. It's nice to have.
If you want gas or for Wayne, diesel prices to go down, it's very simple. Saudi Aramco has to open the tap. They got to do, and they see no value in doing that at the moment.
Yeah. Well, they got all of this oil because of a meteor that hit the planet, and killed all the dinosaurs. And now they found, listen to this, if you have a fragment of the asteroid that killed off the dinosaurs may have been found that hit the Earth 66 million years ago, encased in amber. And the fragment of the asteroid that hit the Earth and killed off the dinosaur they're testing it right now, but they believe that they found that. Somebody's got their mic open and doing some typing. I think let me mute you over there. So basically, isn't that cool? I mean, that they found dinosaurs, and I wonder if it's going to be like Jurassic Park, where they're going to pull the DNA from it and build their own dinosaurs. I don't know.
Speaking of which, did I hear that there's a new Jurassic Park coming out sometime?
There is. It comes June 27th, I think.
More importantly,
How about
there's
that?
a title tap coming out.
Who cares?
Right, everybody's trying to keep up with Top Gun, is what I heard.
Yeah, Top Gun and Avatar, the new Avatar is going to come out for Christmas, which looks really spectacular. If you haven't seen the trailers, that's on YouTube.
Maverick is going to crush the summer.
That looks, I've been watching the YouTube videos on that, and actually I believe Tom Cruise is actually flying a jet, an F-18. I just can't believe that, and they taught the actors how to fly the jets. I don't really know how it is, but they actually have these cameras in the cockpit, like 6, 7, 8 cameras that they're the size of like a, I don't know, a small box, like about that big, and they're
IMAX.
They're mostly reds.
And that's going to be amazing footage when you see it on the big screen. That's going to be a movie that you're going to definitely want to see in the big screen. By the way,
how much help the U.S. Navy will give you when your movie makes them look good.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
I heard that Tom Cruise said that movie is never going to be on streaming.
Well, if it's on Paramount, it's going to be streaming 65 days later or 45 days later, and that's a fact because that's their policy. Every movie that they put out is streaming 45 days later on Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if Top Gun is on Paramount Plus, but that's part of the package that they're selling. So they couldn't be advertising that aspect of buying Paramount Plus if they're not going to do it. And I believe that Top Gun is a Paramount picture. Isn't that correct? Somebody wanted to Google.
It's definitely a Paramount picture. Yeah,
like
it's
I said.
definitely a Paramount picture.
No, so what Tom Cruise said was that Maverick would never debut as a streaming service. In his contract,
Yeah, I didn't see the word debut in the article I saw in the headline.
In his contract, he put that the movie must have a cinematic, a theatrical release of it. I think it's at least 2 weeks, if I recall correctly, before it could move to stream.
Well,
Right.
here's there's two headlines right next to each other here. Variety, the headline says, and I quote, Tom Cruise says he wouldn't allow Top Gun Maverick to debut on streaming. Right next to that, on AV Club, this headline is, Tom Cruise was never, in quotes, going to let Top Gun Maverick go to streaming.
Well, just remember, if you haven't read it anywhere else, you've heard it here first. That's what I will say about that. So,
Well, unless you have a Constellation, Meyer Constellation at home, do not, stream the damn thing. You know, go to the theater, buy the popcorn.
Now the theater is you know, I saw Doctor Strange. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but you know, I don't know how many millions, hundreds of millions it costs to do all the graphics and the CGI in that. But I will tell you that it's such a value when you go to see, you go buy a ticket and you can see that kind of LSD driven images on the screen that you know, your brain, most people's brains could never come up with that kind of imagery, and it is spectacular. Of course, the plot line is horrible. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but to see that imagery is beyond off the shelf. I mean, it's crazy imagery, and I recommend it. You got to see it on a big screen. It won't do the same justice on a small screen. You know, just to see it in Atmos sound, it's just spectacular. But don't go there thinking that you're going to see the plot.
I have a decent, you know, my living room isn't very big. I have 5.1, a decent 5.1 system. I have a 4K TV. I would never in a million years think of seeing either Jurassic Park or Maverick at home first. There's no way. It just doesn't compare. I love going to the theater. I love movie theaters. During the pandemic, that was probably the thing I missed the most. Was going to the theater on a Sunday night when there's like 2 other people there and catching a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I already have
the movies is
for the 27th. You know, I'm
Oh,
going.
I won't see it then though. I hate crowds, so I'll wait a week.
Yeah.
Oh no, you
I
go
mean,
to the early morning. You know, when everybody's at work, take the early
No.
morning show.
This is Vegas.
Oh well, yeah.
yeah, historically speaking, whenever a big movie comes out like that, I take my staff to the movies. You know, we've done that a few times. Where we'll take the day off and we'll go. Well, I used to have bigger staff, you know. But yeah, you know, I've gone to the movies.
So magnanimous. I took the whole staff to the movies.
Yeah, and I let them have popcorn with butter. I mean, really unbelievable. You know,
One of them.
every single popcorn kernel.
For what it's worth, they actually debuted that movie at the CinemaCon thing in Vegas. So I just missed it by that much because I didn't know they were showing it. Otherwise, I would have shown up early to watch it.
It was critics only.
Well, it was the people in the room, but
critics and
movie
executives.
movie theater owners. That's who it was.
And some film critics and stuff. But as I heard, it was a surprise.
Oh, it was a surprise, really?
Yeah,
okay.
like they were like, "Hey, come on in for a screening. We have got something to show you real quick."
Oh, yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to show you the whole movie. It's Maverick. Sit back."
Yeah, right.
So they did show the whole movie. I thought it was only I thought it was only outtakes from the movie.
They definitely showed the whole movie because Steve Oliker was big on that, and I got there right after they finished, and I was like, "Oh, I missed it. I could have just shown up early and I would have seen it. Would have loved to have seen it." But he said it was spectacular. Steve did.
I read 3 different reviews or reviews from 3 different critics, all of whom said they were amazed, not just at the action, because the action was way better than even they expected, but also the depth of the story. All 3 of them said they cried during parts of the movie. They said it was not just the summer blockbuster, traditional, you know, shoot 'em up, lots of action, but they said it's a genuinely good movie.
Well, and Tom Cruise is pretty good in good movies. I mean, he's also got a Mission Impossible coming out as well, where he actually learned how to fly a helicopter for this movie, which supposedly is breathtaking. I've seen some of the outtakes, and it's pretty breathtaking of what of what it is.
That guy will stop at nothing. He's an amazing person, I think. You know, he will stop at nothing. And then that article that I put the link to, one of the parts of the headline says why he does his own stunts. So I guess he does a lot of his own stunts also.
Yeah, he must have a hard time getting insurance for that kind of stuff.
He does almost all of his own stunts. As a matter of fact, in which Mission Impossible was it, Greg? The one where he hurt his ankle.
The one that's coming out.
No. This one that was already out a couple years ago. Actually.
Oh, okay. Where he jumped across the building and he was supposed to. Yeah.
He jumps from one building to another, barely makes it, severely injures his ankle in the process, and then
runs.
And so in the movie, when you see him limping, because he barely made the jump, He really
Totally
is
real. Yeah.
there. And
So
as soon
did
as
you?
that scene was over, they had to shut down production for 6 weeks until he healed.
Yeah.
Did you see the making of that film of that scene where you can see the cameraman? The cameraman is almost as spectacular as Tom Cruise.
Yeah, there's some, you work on a Tom Cruise film, you're going to elevate your game somehow, some way.
Yeah,
That's right.
pretty impressive.
During COVID, he rented a cruise ship, and that was their bubble.
Well,
And
it's good
so
to have
if
that
you
kind
were
of
on-
money. That's all I could say. It's good to have Tom Cruise kind of money. That's about it. And speaking of upping our game and just seeing we're all in the music business, did anybody happen to catch the Billboard Music Awards? That was in Las Vegas, I believe, right? Did anybody catch that?
I watched
did
part of
not.
it, but I couldn't
Yeah.
stomach most of it.
Olivia,
God
by
bless,
the way,
Tony Bennett, though.
Yeah,
Wait, what about Tony Bennett?
Tony Bennett and Gaga won an award for their duet, and
But he wasn't there, was he?
I
doubt it.
didn't see.
No,
No, Gaga was there. Yeah.
Yeah, he is, last I read, he's done with public appearances.
Good for him.
Well, anyway, the top winner was Drake. He was the top artist. The top new artist was Olivia Rodrigo. So, at the Chelsea Theater, she has got the Billboard Music Award. Top male artist was Drake. Top female artist, let's see, I told you the top duo was BTS. Let's see, Taylor Swift won the top 200 artist. Top 100 was Olivia Rodrigo. She won a lot. Top streaming songs was Olivia. BTS won top sales. Let's see. Wow. Olivia also won top radio song artist. And she won the top global 200 artist. Ed Sheeran won.
What I want to know is who decides or who votes on this? Billboard executives, fans? Who is it that decides who
I thought
wins?
the Billboard Awards were fan driven.
I think it's more by record store and airplay. I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I get confused with that. But Doja Cat also won.
As we speak.
So we got the link if you want to know. If you want to know who did what and where, we got the link of the Billboard Awards on there for you guys as well. And the last story that I want to bring up, even though I have more stories than we can cover today, has to do with a fan suing. Well, actually, it's going to be the second story. I don't know if you heard this because this is really a cool story. An Indian couple is suing their only son for not giving them a grandchild. So people will sue anything for anybody, for anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place. But could you believe that if parents are suing their son for not giving them a grandchild, which is crazy talk in my opinion. But that is actually happening right now in India. But the story that talking about lawsuits is there's a fan that sued the New York Giants and the New York Jets for $6 billion, demanding that both teams leave New Jersey immediately and start playing home games in New York.
Or change their name to the New Jersey Giants and the New Jersey Jets, huh?
Well, I would think that, I don't see where it says anywhere, or I don't know where it says anywhere, that you have to have the name of the title of the team has to be that of the city that, it has to be a city that they're playing in.
Oh, it's deceiving. It's like the L.A. What about the Angels? The Angels. Are they called the Anaheim Angels?
The California LA Angels.
Yeah, they are. They're
based
called the
in
Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, well, that's good. But I seem to remember at one point they were called something else, and it was more closely related to L.A. or something.
I believe they were.
But anyway, it's a thing. It's a thing, and so the lawsuit is capitalizing or trying to capitalize on that thing, that the name of the team should be the name of where they play, not near where they play.
Yeah, I don't know myself how I feel about that. I like the fact that, that it is the New York Giants. I don't really care too much about the Jets. They can go wherever they want. But basically, the fan is saying, you got to move back to New York. I want to see you. I was deceived because your name is New York Giants. I thought you were playing in New York. I didn't want to go to New Jersey to see you.
I'm sure their defense would be, it is the New York metropolitan area. And
That's exactly
just like
correct.
the airports are called the New York airports, even though not all of them are in New York. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know.
LaGuardia
I
is
call
in New York.
Airport,
Well,
New
all of them
York
except for
Airport.
Newark. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was that, Greg?
I wouldn't call Newark Airport a New York airport. I avoid Newark. Oh gosh, since the '80s.
Why?
Why? Why is that? It's the best, man. Why do you avoid that?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man, have you? When was the last time you were at Newark?
I flew through there 2 weeks ago. Why?
Oh my goodness.
Listen,
Well, if
it's
you've
an
ever
armpit
flown,
of an airport.
through there internationally, yeah. I don't care whether you got clear or global entry. You're waiting 2.5 hours. Granted, it's better than LaGuardia. Give me JFK every day.
What I like about Newark is the proximity to Manhattan without being in Manhattan, and I like the fact that it's it's where I grew up, so it's familiar to me, right?
Oh.
And then
I hit the New Jersey bug. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. And the schedules into and out of New York are usually pretty good. Anyway, and JFK is just so far out there on the island. It's like, oh my God, where are we going?
Yeah,
I grew up right around JFK. I grew up on the other side of Jamaica Bay, where JFK is. And yeah, you're right. Newark Airport. It's much quicker to get to Manhattan by car or transport. I believe they even have a train there now. That
Oh
you go
yeah,
right to New York.
I
So
can
it's
figure
really
out the
fast
train
compared to,
from Newark from Newark Airport to Manhattan. I can figure out the train. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very fast. Whereas from JFK, which is out, it's actually in Queens. JFK is in Queens, not Long Island. That you could get to Manhattan, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. Whereas from Newark, it's much faster. It's a 15 or 20-minute ride, even with traffic. Just going.
Not to mention the cost. If you're Ubering from Newark versus Ubering from JFK into Manhattan, it's like double the price. JFK.
Well, there you go.
Every person I know thinks Newark is an armpit of an airport, and they only use Newark because of everything else outweighs it. The convenience, the proximity, the flight selection, everybody uses it. Even
LaGuardia, which is also closer to New York, but that is really unless they've done some remodeling, which I heard that they were thinking about doing it.
They definitely have. I've heard it's really really nice now, but of course it's not that large though.
Is Newark still under construction? I've never flown into Newark where there wasn't major remodeling going on.
I just flew through there a couple weeks ago, and I don't remember seeing construction, but that doesn't
It
mean
seemed like they
it
just
wasn't
start
there.
at one end. They take about 6 years to get to the other end, and then they just
Start over again at the other end. Yeah,
Go
just
back
like
to the other
painting a
end.
bridge. Like painting a bridge.
Start working their way this way again.
So, Michael, before we say goodbye to everybody that's been watching us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and wherever we have it, by the way, I'm sorry about the technical difficulties we had, so we started a little bit late. But hopefully next week we won't have those difficulties. And I want to remind you that next week will be our 106th meeting. But I'm curious to know, they changed the name from McCarran to Harry Reid. Did anything else change at the Las Vegas airport?
Nope.
I don't know. How is this week 104th and next week is 106th?
Oh, 105th. Did I say 106th? Yeah, because what happens is when I do my notes, I change the date. So you're right. It is the 105th. This is the 104th, 105th. Just seeing
And
if you're
it's 'cause
paying attention.
He's on the other side of the date line.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I
That's
get
what
it.
I was
Yeah,
just going to say. It's
Ask the soundbroker. It's a good question to ask the soundbroker. How is that possible? Well, I've made a mistake. I thought.
Because
What
for
can I
Jan
say?
and Wayne, it's next week.
Yeah, just testing to see if you guys are paying attention. That's it. Just testing. To see if you're paying attention.
Did you not see Mike when you said 106? Mike was like, no.
I was like 5.
105.
Yeah. Next week's 105, and I'm really impressed. And 307 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, I'm sure Tom Cruise has 10 million, and we have only 307, but that's okay. I'm happy with 307, and next week we'll probably have 310.
Wait, no. You have check right now. I'll bet you have 308.
No, still 307, but I'd probably have to refresh the screen.
Yeah, you gotta refresh, because I subscribed about 20 minutes ago.
There you go. You see, we're growing.
I'm 308.
Anyway.
I'm 308.
Very, very good. Well, you're number
You were
one
gonna
for
ask
me.
me something. You were gonna ask me.
The difference between. Yeah, the difference between like LaGuardia, that's the mayor, and they wanted to change the airport name, but they wouldn't let them. Here in McCarran was the one who built the airport, and he got the money, the senator who got the money for the airport, and yet they changed the name to Harry Reid Airport, which I thought was really crazy. It's still LAS. If you want to get a book a flight, it's LAS.
LAS.
Yeah, LAS, not LOS or LAX. It's LAS, which is the airport code. But did anything change other than the name?
No.
The signs pointing to the airport.
I mean,
Some of them say Harry Reid now.
Well, most of them. What's interesting, what hasn't changed yet, is maps. If you're using Google Maps or MapQuest, on your GPS, almost all of those still say McCarran. If
they do
look up an address online.
But all this week Google's been driving around the airport,
Okay.
remapping it.
So speaking of that kind of thing, is the Hard Rock going to rename the Mirage, or is it the Hard Rock Mirage?
It's
going to be the
complete
Hard Rock
remodel.
Yep.
The volcano's going away and being replaced by a
Giant guitar.
A brand new
guitar.
Yep.
So my question about that is, what's the time frame for that?
It's being designed as we speak. But I'd have
for the time being, it remains the Mirage.
Correct.
Yeah,
Now,
I'd say for at least a couple of years, if not longer.
Do we think they're going to get rid of the Beatles' Love out of there?
Doubt it. I doubt it. That one.
That's a huge moneymaker for them.
Cash cow,
it wasn't.
doubt, right?
No, it is now. It wasn't pre-pandemic. The Jackson estate finally renegotiated the licensing rights for the music.
Jackson? Oh, that's right. The Jackson estate. That's right, because he owned all the publishing of the Beatles, didn't he? Oh my God.
Yep. So he finally renegotiated. So now that show makes money.
I did not know that. You see, I learned something new today. I mean, we learned so much today.
Again, it was because of Ask Cavlo, not Ask SoundBroker.
Unbelievable. Well, we don't know what you're saying is true.
No.
Do your
I
own
knew
research.
That, Jan. I knew that, Jan. So don't let him fool you. We got half. I knew that.
There you go. We got half.
Well, in that case, it would have been Ask Tina, not Ask the SoundBroker.
Yeah, well, Tina's part of the SoundBroker, so let's put it like this. I was under the impression, by the way, that Paul McCartney had bought back that from Sony as well, but I guess not.
Yeah, not last I heard, or maybe there's a distinction between publishing rights and ownership.
Performance.
Well, it gives me something. It gives me something to to live for now for next week, so I could go do my research to see who owns the rights to the Love Show.
Yeah, and the other thing that might be interesting now that I think about it is, I don't recall there being a single Beatles song played at Love that is the original version.
Exactly.
They're all like remixes, extended. Some of them are
right.
messy.
That's why there's a separate CD called The Beatles' Love, and it's all
that's
those
a great
versions,
little CD, by the way. If you
yeah,
don't
it's
have
fantastic. Yeah, I got
it.
it.
Great little CD to kind of listen to very familiar songs in a very new way.
Yeah, because it's more of a play than it is, But I believe George Martin's son, George Martin Jr., was the one who did the mixing on that.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
also
yeah,
set
I
up
could have
the
asked the
system.
SoundBroker.
Yes, the sound broker. There you go. What do you know? Well, anyway, listen, you guys, we're going to stay in the room and
Giles
chit
Martin
chat.
is his name. Giles. See,
Giles
I
Martin.
couldn't remember it at first, but a few minutes later, I kicked in and I got his name. Giles.
Going back to the Alzheimer's test, don't worry, I don't think you need it, but there you have it.
I do.
Anyway, we didn't cover everything I wanted, so we have plenty more to talk about next week. Some of these stories will stay. Like one of the things I wanted to cover is the best place to live in America. There was a survey taken, and so we have that. So that's going to be the teaser. Next week we'll talk about the best place to live in America. We now know the best airports where to go, and now we're going to know the cities. And with that in mind, I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember, if you liked the show, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, still give it a thumbs up, because I could use that, and we all like that. And you can come join us anytime you like, just by DMing us from any of the fine social media streams that you're watching us on, and we'd love to have
And are
you
you
as
supposed to hit the subscribe button? You hit that subscribe button right down there, and the like button too. Like and subscribe, both of those.
There.
Right, Jan?
That's right on YouTube. I don't believe Facebook has that. Anyway, this is it for us today. Thanks for watching. Remember, I'll leave you with this. You make it happen. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you again next week. And if I can figure out where the button is, I'm going to take us off the air. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Bye-bye for now. And we are off the air. And now I've got to find the button to stop the recording, if it'll let me. For some reason, the way it's working right now is crazy. I can't seem to find the button that stops, and there it is.
Just ask
And
the
we are
sound broker.
off
He'll tell
the
you where
air.
it is.